You know, I'm just speaking from the spirit. Like, I just kind of wanted to give it to you, and whatever you get from it, take it with a grain of salt, adjust it for yourself, adjust it for your life, make it make sense for you. But this was definitely something that I was like, okay, God, I got to tell the people. You guys know how animals can teach you so much about life, especially like animal totems, spirit animals, nature in general can teach you so much. There's a lot of ways that animals will start to show up in your life to give you a message from God. And so recently, there's been an animal or an insect that has really been catching my attention lately. I mean, it's been popping up everywhere in forms of like TV. I've heard people talking about this insect, like in passing. I've been seeing them a lot more outside, like not just seeing them, but seeing how they interact, how they work. And so this specific insect is the ant. And so it was a few days where I was noticing it like more, like I was noticing how they interact. And that's one of the ways that you'll know that an animal is giving you a message. When you notice it, but when you look at it, it's not the same way that you would have noticed it, like, I don't know, a few weeks ago. When you see a certain animal over and over and over, and you're like, in your mind, you're kind of like, there's something, like, why do I keep seeing it? There's a reason why. The ant itself is a very diligent type of insect. It's diligent as, like, it's a hard worker. They work very hard. But the key with the ant is that they work together. So they all work individually hard so that the goal, the teamwork, the community can thrive. So that's one of the main things about the ant. So one of the main things I also saw was how organized that these insects are. The way that they work together, the way that they all know their job and they do it well. Incredible. Like, honestly, I know it's just ants, and I've never even cared about ants a day in my life. Like, I wasn't one of those kids who had like an ant farm or anything. I'd never cared about ants. If anything, I was the one putting the water hose in it, you know, trying to blow up the whole little anthill. But lately I had been noticing, and so I was like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me like with these ants? And so I literally went into the Bible and I was like, I wonder what it says about ants, because I'm sure Solomon has something to say about ants, because obviously Solomon was the wisest man to ever live. But also the way that Solomon gave a lot of his wisdom was through nature itself. And so I was like, there has to be something about ants. So I found it. It's Proverbs 6:6, okay? It says, go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. So I said, okay. So I literally went to go look at some ants. And I'm like, okay, what are they doing? Like, why do they... I knew what they were doing, right? They're collecting food and taking it back home, period. Like, they're going to work and they're taking it back home. And I also noticed that it's summertime. So they work very, very hard in the summertime. And there's like a kid story about it and everything. So then the ant works really hard in the summertime, and then it literally chills out and enjoys its food during the winter. And so it prepares for the cold months. It prepares for the storm. And so I did more digging, and I found that ants collect their food at the right season, which is what I was noticing, summertime, and they contain the food in the right condition. So ants literally, when they get food, they cut off the last bit of the food, and somehow this prevents it from germinating or fermenting. So basically it keeps the food in good and mint condition. So they basically figured out a natural way to preserve their food, and they go put it in this sack within the anthill. And so then whenever they're ready to eat, it's like they have a pantry full of food. Insane. And so I didn't know that they were that meticulous in what they do. They all have a job. They go get a little bit of whatever they're trying to carry, which is always way bigger than them. They bring it back to the group. They cut off the ends and they keep it in this safe, secure place, and they store it, and they have so much food that they will never run out. Everyone in the community will be fine for the season to come, when it's too cold to go outside, when it's too rainy to go outside, when it's just not good conditions for them to go outside. So they work when everyone is enjoying the beautiful summer weather, and then when it's wintertime, they sit their ass down and enjoy everything they worked hard for. And so I say this to say, because I was noticing the ants and I'm like, hold on, this has to be like a message for someone else as well. Laziness, we got to get rid of it. Laziness, we have to get rid of being lazy. It doesn't mean that you are being lazy, but maybe you've been feeling that weakness to just want to sit down more often, or like you don't feel like going to work, or you don't feel like working on your project, or you don't feel like working on that second thing that you have coming up or whatever. The energy of finding the spirit, finding the motivation to get up and complete whatever you have to do. So pray over yourself that you get that done, or figure out ways, or what are you doing that's making you feel sluggish? What are you eating that's making you feel sluggish? Looking at the things that are keeping you kind of slothful, or heavy. What's making you get out of bed slower than usual, right? So looking at things like that. Another thing is being mindful of what you're doing in the good times of your life. So when things are going well, what are you doing? Where are you putting that money back into? Or how are you spending that time? Who are you spending those experiences with? Storing up those good moments. It's good to enjoy the good moments, but it's also good to remember that there will be a storm that comes, because there's always a cycle with things. And so what you want to do is you want to prepare for that time while you're enjoying everything, but you still want to work hard consistently. But when you're working hard, don't just blow it all, or don't just, lose track of time to where you forget, I need to have something set aside for what's going to come inevitably. And so that's another thing. Like, maybe you've been contemplating, do you need to start saving more? Maybe you need to start looking into a second, like a safety net. Or even if it's something like you're starting something new, you want to make sure you're not putting all of your eggs into one basket. You still want to be able to have things set aside just in case. So safety, precaution, being active, being wise, being diligent, being a hard worker, working harder at whatever you're doing, and not craving sleep. That's another thing that I found in another scripture. It was saying that basically, the way that people just sleep all the time is that's how their poverty pops up on them. Like, they have these bouts of sleep, and they want to 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 sleep. That's how poverty also sneaks up on people. Oh, you're broke, you're broke, you're broke, you're broke, you're broke. Oh, let me take that, you're broke. So there's a direct correlation with being in love or addicted to sleep, just as there is a correlation with working hard and seeing the results from it. Okay. So these are all things that, I'm just speaking from the spirit. Like, I just kind of wanted to give it to you, and whatever you get from it, take it with a grain of salt, adjust it for yourself, adjust it for your life, make it make sense for you. But this was definitely something that I was like, okay, God, I got to tell the people. The lesson that the ant has taught me during this time in my life, is just that. And you can always look at nature to teach you something, because nature is always very, very consistent. Even us as humans, we're very consistent. We don't like to talk about it, but we throughout history have always created ways to live a more extravagant life, and we always are trying to come up with some new idea. We're always creating. And so even us as humans, we have our own nature as well, and animals and nature also do that. So if you notice nature differently, like there's something different, like for me it was the ants this past few weeks, look into what nature's trying to teach you about it, because they're going to keep doing the same thing forever. Like, the ant will never stop doing what I saw it do, but for whatever reason I was very zoomed in to what it was doing. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.